After the 11th, then sets in the 12th transit. Officially, they say this is when Sadhe Sati starts. Now, I am completely in the pool. I'm completely immersed in the whole Indian experience here. Then things start hitting me, okay? And my oil startup did not fly off, okay? I had a huge stock of it left. And then I was trying to push it through my practice. This was my first failure. 12th phase was filled with diseases, that I would say, and my health problems, my viral arthritis. I was limping around, going to the construction site, limping around, going to the hospital, making sure I would maintain my practice, because when you're a doctor, you should be available for your patients always.
Yeah.
Your patients expect that, and literally getting 100 phone calls a day. Over that, we had these construction calls and etc. etc. So this was the 12th phase. You can see how during Saturn period, Saturn gives you full leverage for doing service. But when you want to do good for yourself, be happy, merry, pleasure, no, there's no time for that. So this whole experience was traumatic because your father, on whose lap I grew up, who was my strength, who was my big support, moral support, he was lying down weak, his body transforming from a healthy body to he's getting dried up, his skin is getting discolored, and I'm seeing him not moving, not on a breathing support. Was traumatic. So this whole period, and during this period, I would shift from one problem to another problem in my brain. So there's nothing like one problem finished and I'll take a little bit of rest. No, you shift from one problem thinking to another problem thinking. The only break you get from your previous problem is come to a new problem. Then you go jump to the next problem to get break from these two problems. So it was a circle of dealing with issues and problems and problems and problems.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Indian Vedic House. Today we are going to talk to Dr. Samarth, who is an established Ayurveda practitioner, and we will be talking to him about his Sadhe Sati experience. He is a Capricorn moon sign, so he has already gone through his whole 7.5 years of Sadhe Sati and has shared his experience in detail with us. I often keep talking about the typical experiences that we go through during the Sadhe Sati, like relocation, change of job, buying or selling of property, litigation matters, losing a loved one, either in one way or the other, the separation happens. And Dr. Samarth has experienced all of this during his 7.5 years and has spoken about it. We also often hear that the first two phases of Sadhe Sati is very difficult, but whatever Saturn takes from you in the first two phases, it gives you back in the last phase. I'm sure most of you have heard this. So Dr. Samarth has also spoken on the same lines. He has also mentioned about how the third phase started giving him back things, not all, of course, that he lost in the first and the second phase. It's an enlightening experience, and Dr. Samarth, being an Ayurveda practitioner and has been studying astrology since years, probably his childhood, has shared some very good remedies, which you may find useful if you are going through Sadhe Sati, or if your Sadhe Sati is going to begin soon, probably after 2 years. So Dr. Samarth is a Virgo ascendant, and he has Saturn placed in the first house itself. His Saturn is retrograde. His moon, as I said, is it's Capricorn, so it's placed in the 5th house. His ascendant Lord Mercury is placed in the 8th house with exalted sun. Interestingly, his Saturn Mahadasha was also overlapping along with his Sadhe Sati. So his Saturn Mahadasha started when he was going through the second phase of Sadhe Sati. It started in May 2021 and will go on till May 2040. So it will be a very good experience for you to hear about the whole experience of Dr. Samarth of Sadhe Sati. So stay tuned and watch the whole video. Hello, Dr. Samarth. Welcome to my channel, Indian Vedic House.
Namaste.
Namaste. So, Dr. Samarth, I think this is the first time that I have met or I'm interviewing somebody who has just finished their complete Sadhe Sati like a couple of months ago, because you are a Capricorn moon sign. And we know how much curiosity and sometimes anxiety is there, people who are about to begin with their Sadhe Sati or are going through it. So I would love to hear from you on behalf of my audience how your whole 7.5 years of Sadhe Sati was.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say my background is I learned Vedic astrology through my high school and my college very passionately. But then I had to drop it because I took up Ayurveda. I'm an Ayurvedic physician now.
Okay.
And my perspective will be based on my knowledge about it, and also as an Ayurvedic physician. before I like to start about the Sadhe Sati, I would like to say that Saturn starts preparation for your Sadhe Sati while he is transiting the 11th house itself. We know that Saturn gives a lot of gains. The 11th house in a horoscope is for gains. And when we have a malefic like Saturn come there, is extremely beneficial. It gives you a lot of things. So when Saturn entered my 11th house, I was in Australia.
Okay.
So I finished my Ayurvedic degree, bachelor's in Ayurvedic medicine, and went to Australia. And I was in Australia for 10 years. And this was probably in my last year that Saturn entered my 11th house. Just before that, around that period, I was in a very good public service job. I was working for the Australian central government, which I got in with a lot of merit. Prior, I finished my double master's degrees in public health and health promotion. And I had an excellent Ayurveda practice, which was running on the weekend. And I had created a good community of Ayurveda followers in a small town called the capital city called Canberra in Australia. And both me and my wife, we were practicing there. I was in an excellent public service job, a government job, a central government job, and everything was going good. I had my daughter there. 2014, around that, I got my passport. I got my Australian citizenship. I got my passport. I was in the pinnacle. I was like, my wings are all up. And around that time, 2014, when Saturn entered into my 11th house, I arrived, welcomed my son, my second child was born. Then things started changing in me. I did not want to be in the public service. I thought working for somebody, working for the government or any other area, I thought it's very restrictive. I wanted to do a business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do things on my own. So 2015, when my son was born, I decided to use a paid parental leave. They give a paid parental leave in Australia once. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're a parent, and a child is born, you can utilize it. I think you get a month or 3 months, and then you can extend it. I applied for the paid parental leave, and I left to India. So, of course, both my parents are Ayurvedic doctors, and my father was very insistive of me to come back to India and start my Ayurvedic practice. And during that period, I was really thinking of even expanding my Ayurveda practice in Sydney and Melbourne, going full time. I had a full time public service Department of Health and Aging job, which was very good. If I would have continued there, I don't know, by now I would have climbed up the ladder very well. I was doing extremely well there. But I don't know what shifted. I came back to India. Now, when I came back to India, 11th house Saturn, I had a leave. So I had a transition period. I traveled to the US, backpacked in the US for 2 months with my wife and my 6-month-old son. We enjoyed. After returning from my US trip, I was more driven. I was like, I have an Australian passport. I can travel the world. I can do anything. So let me start a drug manufacturing company, an Ayurvedic drug manufacturing company, or I can use all the experience that I have in expanding Ayurveda and growing Ayurveda. But exactly that time, this was typically 2015 and 16. That was during my 11th Saturn. I got a very good opportunity to be a Ayurveda presenter in a popular cooking show program in Karnataka, in one of the TV channels called Star Suvarna. And this brought me a lot of popularity. They started using me. I mean, they started, presenting me in all their programs. And to that extent, I got popularity it was an eye-opener for me. I would just walk around into a restaurant and I would have a group of people just walk up to me and congratulate me on my program and take a photo snap. And this happened quite a few times. I still remember when my cousin from the States had come down, we went on a typical pilgrimage trip to Mantralayam, which is a Raghavendra Swami temple. And after the darshanam, it was dark. And we had a group of people come up to me and say, we watch your program. What are you doing in Mantralayam? And, catch up photographs in the dark. So this happened quite a bit in 2015. I think that was my Saturn 11th giving me a lot of gain in this. And this is when I started a small Ayurvedic practice also. I was traveling back to Australia, maintaining my clients there. So this was kind of like really a very fun period. It was good. And this attracted me to be in India. This was, I would not call it the trap. This was what Saturn had planned for me. He gave me an attraction. I did the change. I did everything. 2015 and 2016. So all this happened, and this was Saturn 11th house. And then there were a few things that I did. I started a small scalp oil product, which I did it. And at the same time, my practice grew. My practice grew exceptionally. So this was the start. I was saying, as an Ayurvedic doctor, it is a little more extra tedious to talk to patients because modern doctors, they quickly check the symptoms, they write a prescription and send the patient away. But Ayurvedic doctors, we have to constantly explain, sit, remove all their confusions, misconceptions about Ayurveda and push forward Ayurveda. So at this time, I was so happy. Initially, when I came, I was seeing a few patients a day. It jumped up to 20, 30 patients a day. I got popular. People were coming in herds, in their families. They wanted to see me. They wanted to talk. It was all It was all a good rolling period. Now, after the 11th, then sets in the 12th transit. Officially, they say this is when Sadhe Sati starts. Now, I am completely in the pool. I'm completely immersed in the whole Indian experience here. Then things start hitting me. Okay. Now it's 2 years since I have given my paid parental leave in my central government job. They were still holding my job. They were keeping asking me, sending me emails, come back, Samarth, we need you. Your position is there. I decided to resign my position. So this job, I got in through a merit pool in Australia. And there were a couple of directors who pulled me up because of my qualification, my experience. And generally, Indians are very hardworking, So I had to sign a resignation letter. So this was when my Saturn was transiting in 12th. So I reluctantly but signed it because everything was looking very nice in India here. Okay, so I gave my resignation letter. And then all the different things started happening when Saturn was transiting my 12th. See, Saturn is a great planet. He sets in his institution, we get into his institution, and he slowly makes you accustomed to different things. All his characteristics, features started surrounding me. See, I started a oil product. Okay. I'll tell you what happened in 2017, 18, 19. Am I correct? Saturn is transiting Sagittarius. Okay. Yeah. So during this period, what happened was some of the textbooks say you are rid with diseases. 17 and 18, I had an attack of viral arthritis. I'll never forget this because, we have not spoken about things like chikungunya and things. I'm seeing a lot of patients. There are a lot of mosquitoes in India. I had viral arthritis. That was my first physical breakdown. And then joint pains and everything for a month. It's quite memorable, these events. I had to fight it back. I had to fight it back the Ayurvedic way. I took Ayurvedic medicines, did not take modern medications. It took me a little longer, but I moved around with my pain and went about doing my things. Simultaneously, because of my transition coming back to India, I was flooded with all these flus, influenza, stomach bugs, different things. I'll never forget that period. A year, 2 years, not only for me, even my partner and my children, we all went through this. Now, I had a very busy Ayurvedic practice, very, very busy Ayurvedic practice. I could not focus on my oil startup that I did, and my oil startup did not fly off. Okay, I had a huge stock of it left, and then I was trying to push it through my my practice. This was my first failure. The second one was my practice had grown so big. I had days where I would just talk to myself, is this what I wanted? I was having lunch at 5 p.m. I would finish my walk in the morning and jump into my practice, and I could just not come out of it. It was constant struggle. And Ayurveda is a budding science with no much evidence around, and there's a lot of experimental trialing which is done. There's of course no side effects, but it's a great science. But we go through this, and I went through all that, and my practice would go on till 9 or 10 o'clock in the night, and it was a constant grind. You have a sesame oil machine, and you have a bullock cart, keeps grinding, doesn't stop. So I start in the morning, goes on till the night. Then sometimes I would ask myself, do I have to be on television so much, and am I able to handle these patients so much? So this was the second thing in my practice. But I had to do it because it is a wonderful experience as a successful Ayurvedic physician, where many cannot be. I was one. I was in the shelter of my parents, and I had my own individual practice. I had my own fan following. It was great. Then what happened? Me and my partner, we decided to sign up into a beautiful project that was happening near the house. So I signed up 2017 into this project, and there was a scheme, and I'll tell you what happens to this one. Okay, 17 they were supposed to hand over in 19. Okay, and then the delay starts. So this was one where I invested. The second thing, the same time, what I did was I had this small clinic. I decided, before my practice grows, let me destroy the small clinic and construct a big hospital. Okay, so I had this plot, and I raised the clinic down, and then I applied for a building plan. I found a good contractor, a good engineer, and started working with them to construct this hospital. So the whole construction process, is a lot of Saturn, a lot of labor, a lot of revenue people, plan approvals. I'm a doctor, full-time doctor over this. You got to do this. It's a very ambitious plan. So I started construction.
And this was
at the
still
same
first
time,
phase, right?
this was the first phase. This was the
Okay.
first phase. So I started. I applied for the plan. There was a lot of delay in getting the plan. 3-4 months frustration. Then getting the quotations right. I know when you are doing your first construction project, right? There are a lot of things that you go through. You learn to spend money. You learn to deal with laborers who don't listen to you. They come on their time, and your contractor, he comes and asks you a lot of money, and you'll have to give. So these are things that you have to get accustomed to. And the first thing was, I'm not a small house, but a huge hospital. So I initially started it off. I had my father who was guiding me at the back, but I was a young chap. I wanted to do it by myself, and me and my wife, we got the plan in and did everything. Then, so this was basically the 12th phase. 12th phase was filled with diseases, that I would say, and my health problems, my viral arthritis. I was limping around, going to the construction site, limping around, going to the hospital, making sure I would maintain my practice, because when you're a doctor, you should be available for your patients always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Your patients expect that, and literally getting 100 phone calls a day. Over that, we had these construction calls and etc. etc. So this was the 12th phase. Now, this is when the Saturn transits into the first house. So first house was Makar Rashi. So this was year 2020, 21, and 22. A very, I would not say a memorable. See, there are sometimes you wish did not happen, but you don't want. There are bad memories, but you don't want to wipe them out. Okay, and you cannot wipe out those memories. Okay. So when my Sadhe Sati started, it was 2.5 years over, and then I was into the main portion, the center portion. COVID came. So this was 2020, COVID period, a very busy period. So I had a fairly big clinical practice, and we had to. All my staff did not turn up because of this COVID fear, but there were patients calling, and there was a period where, as a doctor, right, you cannot stop the service. Okay, you got to keep the service going. There were a lot of Ayurveda followers, and we had even modern doctors come to Ayurveda because it was a period where people were not sure what medication works, how it works. I still remember so many MD doctors come either to my father or me. They come and they take lehyams and kashayams that Ayurveda has to offer, and we had to keep this flowing. So staff not there, the whole road is silent. We wake up in the morning, put on my gear, go down, start packing medications. See, when you're dispensing, right, you got a lot of medicine making, packing, counting, making it all ready for different patients. And then the whole thing, like, door delivery of medication started. So that was a very busy period. So in this busy period, we found out ways how we could see patients with screens on and doing phone consultations, video consultations. It was a very, very busy period. We had old patients come back. Now they all want Ayurveda. They all want the teas. They want all the kashayams. I still remember one good project that I did as a service. So you can see how during Saturn period, Saturn gives you full leverage for doing service. But when you want to do good for yourself, be happy, merry, pleasure. No, there's no time for that. So me and another doctor colleague, we got together. We prepared almost, it was close to 500 kilos to a ton of medical preparation. We, at a very manufactured price rate, we distributed it, and some places we did it free. So this was one thing that we did. So there was staffing issues, occasional joint problems. I was coming out of my chikungunya experience. So then a big breakdown happened in my life. My father, a very acclaimed Ayurvedic physician who has started a big organization and doctors of around 600 doctors, he gets COVID. Okay. Now, of course, we had very good medicines for it. A very precarious situation in a family where everybody is a doctor. The elder one does not listen to the younger ones around. Okay. We cannot force them into it. That was one very big thing that we realized. But he was treating himself. He isolated himself, treated himself. And when he was positive with COVID, then we felt the best way was him going to the hospital. And though we treated, he was very reluctant to take treatment from my own mother or me or my sister. So he wanted to do things for himself. And he was a personality in himself, where he got very weak as when the temperatures rose and there was breathing difficulties. He was admitted to the hospital. They took him directly to the ICU. They started treating him there. He was put on a high flow oxygen, a very brilliant man, a very strong man. But he succumbed to it. They started trialing. The period he went to the hospital, right? They were trialing every drug available there, because his own close friend was big head in the hospital. So they were doing their best. So the triple drug was out. And then next day, they started trying triple drug on him. And there was remdesivir. So that was being tried on. There were steroids being given. A lot of every other thing. He was subjected to it. His kidneys failed. That was when they put him on a invasive ventilator. Once the invasive ventilator was on, and then he survived for 14 days. And during this 14 days, during this whole period, there was this demand of patients. At the same time, my father in the ICU. Was a very tough phase. It was a very, very tough phase. And during this period, the doctors gave up. They said, Samarth, I think modern medicine, we have done what we can. If you have anything in Ayurveda, you can do. So during the 10 days or 7 days while he was in the ventilator, I worked with a few expert doctors who have worked in critical care in Ayurveda in Mumbai and Delhi. And I used to wear a PPE kit 3 times a day, go into the ICU, go administering medicines through the food pipe, and then come back. This whole experience was traumatic because your father, on whose lap I grew up, who was my strength, who was my big support, a moral support, he was lying down weak, his body transforming from a healthy body to he's getting dried up, his skin is getting discolored, and I'm seeing him not moving, not on a breathing support. Was traumatic. 3 times a day I would go in, and I would come out, change my PPE kit, just lie down thinking about the whole experience, then again go back to patients. I had to maintain seeing patients as well. They also had different problems. So during this time, what happened was, the hospital that I was constructing, the key engineer is down with COVID and he goes to ICU. Okay. In a project, when the key guy you're paying money to and who's accountable, when he breaks down, right? I had all his staff come to me asking for money, and it was a very smooth experience. But there was a sense of insecurity. So I had this hospital construction that I started very ambitiously. I wanted to do it. And then you had the engineer who goes to the ICU. I don't know who's going to do it. A very tough phase, and there are lockdowns in place and a lot of restrictions. And over this, I did another blunder. Sometimes in Saturn period, it is good to just give up, not to take over responsibilities, not be greedy. Okay. So what I did was, see, he had constructed a structure. So there was plumbing to be done. There was tiling work to be done. There was painting to be done and interiors to be done. I thought I'm going to do it. And I went ahead and took responsibility of it. I started finding smaller contractors to do this job. It was not a house. It was a hospital. It was a huge hospital. And this brought in extra burden on me. I'll never forget waking up early in the morning. The first thing I would do was go to the construction site, find out who has come, who has not come, talk to all the contractors, dealing with laborers, a lot of laborers, their issues, their things to do. And my painting contractor, by the time he finished, he's a North Indian. He said, Dr. Sab, किसी और आपके प्लेस में होता तो अब तक हार्ट अटैक हो गया होता. इतना तकलीफ झेले आप, सही में बहुत अच्छे किए हैं. So the amount of work that goes in constructing by myself, but fortunately the main engineer comes back from ICU. He recovers. By the time he recovers, I had finished the plumbing and tiling work, and then of course he did the electric work. So this was the project that I did with a lot of difficulty, and I will tell you some of the remedies I did, which helped me complete projects, because otherwise this would have left unfinished. But I finished it. Over this, we had harassment of officials. In India, how things are is everything is not straightforward, and everybody wants a piece of the pie. You got to deal with all these people. So 2021, 22, we inaugurated the hospital, and it was a big opening. It was a nice opening, and then starts running the hospital. So there were another set of issues. Hiring staff, along with my practice. When you have a full-time practice, between periods, you got to do all this hiring. That is another big headache. Then Sadhe Sati phase 2 starts. When Sadhe Sati phase 2 started, I was over all these past things, my construction and everything. And then second affects your wealth.
Phase 3, not the phase 2, right? The last phase you're talking about.
Sorry, phase 3.
Yeah.
Phase 3. Phase 3 and Saturn is transiting the second house. This was when I ventured out into property purchases, and there were a lot of learning curves. 2.5 years, how to do a deal, how to patch a deal, how to get a deal, how to benefit from a deal. The whole dealing process in property buying was what Saturn taught me. See, Saturn was probably not extremely hard to me, though my father passed away. There were inheritances, but at the same time, there were a lot of problems I inherited. I had to deal with those things, and that was done during Saturn transiting my second house. So, but at the same time, there was one good thing that I did was I took up a philanthropic role. This Ayurveda association that was there, I took the responsibility as the president of the association, wherein we had to organize a CME every once a month and 2 big events every year. And this was free work. This is free work for the doctor community. This was work that you did out of serviceness. So all these rights, Saturn will not disturb you. So this whole period, and during this period, I would shift from one problem to another problem in my brain. So there's nothing like one problem finished and I'll take a little bit of rest. No, you shift from one problem thinking to another problem thinking. The only break you get from your previous problem is come to a new problem. Then you go jump to the next problem to get break from these two problems. So it was a circle of dealing with issues and problems and problems and problems. But finally, there were a few decisions I did in the property phase that was pretty good. There was also a court case. I would like to not go very deep into it. It was through a labor, and I went through the court case in the High Court, and we won the court case with a lot of support. Of course, we had a very good lawyer. Also, I went through accounting issues with the tax departments. So this was when this was in my second phase, and during this time, though I was, see, as a doctor, right, you can't spend all your time doing accounting and running it like a business. You're running a service. And this was the time when I learned a lot of accounting and taxation. I still remember 3 or 4 months scratching my head, running between accountants, trying to figure out a correct accounting structure. This is Saturn transiting the second house. The arguments that we had between me and my wife as a couple about the taxation and the accounting. There are some people that have stood with you through this Sadhe Sati period. And one is definitely my family, my mother, my wife, and my children. My children are very small, so they have been a part of it. But especially my aged mother, she's always been a bedrock, solid stone for you, for me. And at the same time, during this period, I also got an opportunity to present different series of TV interviews. So the third phase of Sadhe Sati, I started getting back what I had missed. So look, I am not a very big spendthrift. I don't spend on a lot of things. But one way of investment as a doctor that I would always was around real estate and was fixed assets. Mm-hmm. And this is the area where Saturn taught me. Fortunately, I'm not an investor in the stock market or somewhere where probably Saturn would have given me harder lessons. So on speculative behavior. But Saturn taught me through fixed assets. And so the third phase of Sadhe Sati, there was a bit relief from what the first and second phase was. But the third phase gave me a lot of financial awakening, a lot of learning about how to deal with finances. Now, some of the key things that I can tell you while you're Sadhe Sati, along with the remedies. The first thing is, see, you cannot stop what is going to happen to you. Okay. When 11 Saturn comes in, right, be very careful. Don't be super ambitious. Don't go on too much loans, debts, and take on challenges and change your current situation to newer ones that you're uncertain about. Be very, very double sure.
So then
because what Saturn has plans.
So, Dr. Samad, do you now regret the decision of quitting your job in Australia and settling back in India?
Look, maybe I would have faced all the problems there.
Of course.
So maybe this was the place where I had to learn.
Yeah.
This is the place where I had to learn, and I had to go through what I was destined to go through. And I don't regret it. I think I needed it. This was a bit of a grounding for me, bringing back. I learned a lot. I learned one thing. After my Sadhe Sati ended, I visited Mantralayam to do seva to Raghavendra Swami. You know Raghavendra Swami, right?
Yeah.
He's a very popular saint in South India, who's the avatar of Prahlad. So they do prasadam afternoon and night. So I did the seva and came and sat down for the lunch, prasadam. And they started giving everybody leaves to eat food. I got a very small leaf. Literally, it was half a leaf. And kids sitting around me had big leaves. Like, what's going on? They look at me. I'm a big person. Give me a big leaf. So the food was served. I ate. I was very satisfied. Come night, the same thing happened. I was given a very small leaf. All the people around me given a bigger leaf. Then I had a realization. We have to be satisfied with what we are given. At the end, we'll be satisfied with what we are given. Okay? Which basically means whether it is a small leaf or a big leaf, what is given, you are definitely at the end, you're going to fill your belly up. So be satisfied. Don't be greedy. The thought of I want more is more trouble. So that is something that I always remember. Now, some of the remedies that I did during my Sadhe Sati, as a Jyotish, I knew I was going to get this period. I was wondering how it would be. Mm-hmm. So every Pradosha is Trayodashi that comes on a Saturday. I would call a Purohit home, 6 o'clock in the evening, do Rudrabhishekam. This is the first remedy. I did it diligently in the year. How many of our Pradoshas came? I called the Purohit, gave him his Dakshina. He would recite Rudram and we would do Abhishekam, especially Trayodashi coming on Saturday. This is the first remedies that I did. So you did it for the whole 2.5 years? Whichever I remember. If it would be there involuntary, involuntarily I would just, in a sense like consciously, unconsciously I would do it. So Pradosha comes, I would do this. Second thing is doing Ekadashi now and then. That would also reduce the burden for me. Ekadashi is on the 11th day, 11th lunar day, both in the dark and bright fortnight, doing Upasam to Lord Mahavishnu. Because that's Stiravara is Saturday. Stiravara is also of Mahavishnu. So doing Ekadashi also will help you. Ekadashi is like the highway during troubles. You do Ekadashi, he will give you get rid of all the troubles in a very smooth way. That is one thing. Reciting Shani Ishcharakrita Narasimha Stuti on Saturdays. I would regularly, without fail. I still remember during the 12th phase, during the first, second, and third phase, the amount of problems I was going through, it would all come down on a Saturday. My arguments would increase, my tensions would increase, my stress would increase on the Saturdays. I would make a point to go to Hanuman temple. Every Saturday, go to Hanuman temple. Even when your relations get spoiled, everything happens. I was going to the Hanuman temple on Saturdays. Going to Hanuman temple, reciting Shanischara Krita Narasimha Stuti. Shanischara Krita Narasimha Stuti is Shani Bhagavan has created a Narasimha Stuti, and reciting this has also given me a lot of solace. The other small thing that I did for the last 7.5 years, and I continue to do it, is I would go out to eat food. I would keep coins in my pocket. I would give the security guard. I would give the cleaner. I would give the sweeper. I would give the waiter who would come. I tip them. I tip them a little bit more also. So after you have a sumptuous meal, you get your bill. I don't like paying the service tax, but I would like to pay a handsome tip to the waiter who came and served us. So these are small things. And whenever I would go to walks in a park, or I would see old people sweeping, or the local corporation people sweeping, in front of the house, I just go offer them some food, a fruit, money, whatever it is. This is one thing that I did. Other thing, as a doctor, what I did was, on Saturdays, I would get old patients, and I would, with their medicines, I would add a oil application or anything. I would not charge a consultation fee for them. This was one way of dealing with them. Old patients, people with disabilities, children with disabilities, people with long-standing chronic conditions like cancer. I would just charge them for the medicines, not keep a major portion of consultation in that. This is something that I constantly did, and I continue to do. The other thing that I did was I recited Guru Charitra. This was one thing that I would go to Gangapur or Mantralayam and do seva to the Guru, even reciting Guru Charitra and following a Guru, taking a Diksha with a Guru, reciting, doing Mantra Japa. As a Madhva Brahmin, I would do my Sandhya Vandanam and do my Japams, the Gayatri Japams every day. That definitely gave you a bit of protection. But nothing can stop the churning which Saturn has to give you. You have to take it. You have to be strong enough to take it. He will look at your strength and target you at that level. You have to be ready for everything. See, you have to be ready for some of the loneliness you're going to get, some of the deprivation you're going to get, some of the denials that you're going to get, some of the isolations that you're going to get, aloneness. And so all these things, comes with Saturn, grief, etc. comes with it. So at the end of it, I saw your videos on YouTube, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You're getting all people sharing. I thoroughly enjoyed looking back my 7.5 years before, preparing for your program. It gave me a sense of joy that I went through this 7.5 year institution, and the preparation before talking to you, I made me go back and think of all the different things that have
Revisit everything.
come along with.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions, Dr. Sam. I mean, if you have anything, you can continue.
No, that's all. Yeah, please tell me.
So you mentioned that it gave you a lot of financial learning in the last phase of the Sadhe Sati. So what exactly do you mean? Did you go through some financial losses and then learned from your mistakes, or what was it?
It was not financial losses per se, but it was financial structuring was what I learned. Probably because the Shani Mahadasha that I'm currently running also, I have not faced financial losses as such, but it gave me a retrospective about financial planning. My inherent quality of being very careful with my money and being very, the accounting and everything, I've come from an Australian structure there. So we are very clear. I want to sleep peacefully. I pay my taxes properly. I do everything properly. But it is the financial structuring, how to run a business, how to look after the expenses. Now, I would like to also add one thing. Initially, I told I signed up for a project. They delayed. They stopped the project. He went bankrupt. Now, after my Sadhe Sati finishes, he's coming out of bankruptcy and he's finishing the project.
Is he going through Sadhe Sati as well?
Maybe he went through the Sadhe Sati, but as soon as my Sadhe Sati started, he went bankrupt. The project stalled and everything. But now, as my Sadhe Sati is just finishing up, he's coming back now. He's finishing everything, and he's given a few months' time before he's going to hand it over to me.
Perfect. And we understand that the first phase brought a lot of changes for you, some decisions which may or may not, you might not have liked, or you might have liked, but yeah, it's inevitable. What has to happen will happen. And second phase, of course, because you lost your dad, there cannot be possibly anything more traumatic than that. But when you compare your first and the second phase, I'm not counting the third one, because you mentioned in the third one you started getting back things that you had lost. Which one was more traumatic for you, the phase 1 or the phase 2?
I think phase 1 was traumatic, but the phase 2, I was in the Kachada swimming. So technically, when you're trying to get into a mud pool, the first phase is you're looking at it and trying to get into it. But then the second phase is you're inside it swimming. So second phase, I was like I was used to everything. It's like a boxer, who enters the ring. He gets smashed one time, second time, third time, and you get down, and again you have to stand up, and you get smashed again. So you get used to it.
Yes.
So and it goes continuous, and you get used to it, and you get used to it, and then finally what happens is the third phase, and when it's getting over, you realize that the boxer was just smashing you. All of a sudden stopped, and the ringmaster comes and holds your hands up and say you're the winner. So My experience is in Saturn, no matter how many blows he gives you got to stand up, face it, stand up, face it, stand up, face it. Use some of the tricks that you see in the opponent to give it back to him the same way. Ultimately, you're going to win. Saturn's destiny is another thing that, he teaches you through and then gives you the chocolate at the end.
Yeah, I always say to my clients also that, and based on my own experience also, that everything that you have wished for or you want will happen, but the process will be so painful that when it's happening, you will not realize that it's for your own good and you will be suffering. But at the end, you will realize that, whatever has happened has been for good, and you will just cherish. And when we look back, we just laugh at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, typical Saturn thing. And Dr. Samath, you also mentioned that it's also a very typical experience of Sadhe Sati that we go through grief, we feel isolated, loneliness, isolation is there. But hearing to your experience, I see that you have always been with your family, your partner, your children, your parents were here in India. Probably that isolation was something that you were feeling mentally, but I would like to hear from you. What did you mean when you said that you felt isolated or, loneliness was there?
See, loneliness was there in the situations. Though they were physically present, they were probably not in a position to help me out in the situations. Now, I'm at the construction site dealing with an engineer there, dealing with a laborer there, and they cannot come and help me out there directly. But I was there just by myself dealing with it. And my patient problems, I have to deal with it. My family cannot come and help. So there is this isolation there. So they're not able to understand you. They themselves are going through some issues that they are tackling with. But we all sit together, we have dinner together, we have breakfast together, we sleep together, we do a lot of things together. But then we are isolated. There is no shoulder. When my father passed away, I was in a situation where people, my relatives, did not know that he was in the hospital. It was a COVID situation. They would panic. And that probably when he went to the ventilator, we informed a lot of his close brothers and sisters. Then it was calls. I had to answer them. My cousins were not around. It was an isolation experience that end. So isolation in your mind, not physical, but isolation in your mind.
Yeah. Okay. And if you have to just take away one learning from the whole Sadhe Sati experience or just summarize it in one sentence, what would it be, Dr. Samarth?
Saturn is a good planet. He is a planet of learning. He's going to give you challenges. You have to look at the brighter things of what he's going to give you. Don't look at the negative things. Don't keep yourself lazy. Don't get into bad habits. Don't do wrong things. Be good to people. Be nice to people. And this is probably my long one-liner.
No, but I think it's the good one. And one more question. Now, when you reflect back the whole 7.5 years of your Sadhe Sati, do you feel there was anything that you should have done differently?
Yes, maybe I would have taken things more lightly, not taken things more seriously. See, when you take things seriously in life, that is when you get tormented by it. We have to learn to take things very lightly. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you got to be like the water on the lotus leaf, unattached with all the things around, but perform your duties. So today morning, when I was reflecting a little bit with my partner, my partner said, just do karma yoga. So Saturn is one thing that makes you do karma yoga. That is, you got to keep doing, performing without anticipation of fruit. Saturn is not going to give you a fruit easily. He's going to deny you, and you're going to stay in that situation and learn from it. That hard lesson. It is not about the fruit. It is about the action, what you do. And you should get the joy in the action, not joy in what you're going to get from the action.
True. So true and very well said. I think that's the whole essence of periods like these, like Sadhe Sati, Saturn's Mahadasha, or Ketu Mahadasha. In fact, that's the essence of life too. And that's what Gita is all about. And we keep telling people to read it. So I think it's very well said. And Dr. Samat, your Saturn Mahadasha also started while you were going through Sadhe Sati. A period of overlapping was there. So did you see any influence of Saturn Mahadasha? I know it's very difficult because you're already going through a tough time, but did you feel that as soon as your Saturn Mahadasha started, while you were going through the Sadhe Sati, something else happened? Maybe it became more tough or it became easier?
See, if you can look at my horoscope, my Saturn Dasha of probably 19 years started at the same time where my Saturn was in the middle, in my second phase.
Second phase, yeah.
My Saturn is actually quite benefic to my horoscope. So I was looking for a great 19-year period. Though my Jupiter Dasha was good, I was in a foreign country and everything. I wanted to look out for a more nice life for the next 19 years. But maybe the Sadhe Sati brought in all those learning curves there. So I missed out on all the perks that initially gave. But I'm looking forward for the perks to come through. So I believe that my Saturn Mahadasha is going to be good, and I'm looking forward for it.
Of course, of course. And we wish the same.
Yeah,
that
thank
it
you.
turns out to be really good for you.
Thank
So
you.
before we close, Dr. Samarth, are there any last parting comments that you'd like to share?
I would like to say the work that you're doing is spectacular.
Thank you.
You should continue doing it. Get more people on to share. It is a wonderful experience for them to retrospect and talk it on the show. What you're doing is a fantastic work. Please continue doing it. Get more people on. It is a lot of hard work, but you're contributing immensely. First-hand experience of the Shas is what we require, and you're doing it. And my support is always be there for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sama. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate, taking so much time out, reaching out to me and then sharing your experience. And that's the whole intent behind doing these videos. And I'm so thankful to you and to other people who have already shared their experience with us and who in future may come and share, because it's only because of you and other people like you that we are having these videos on the channel. So I want to thank everyone. And I encourage people to come, write email to me or comment on my YouTube channel to share their experience so that we can have more videos like these.
Definitely.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Samad. It was really nice talking to you. Yeah.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching the whole video. I hope you liked it. If you did, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to share your experience with us, do drop me an email at indianvedichouse@gmail.com. Thank you.